Hong Kong. Monday morning. What seemed like an ordinary day turned into the beginning of the most powerful storm the city had seen in years. Not a single bird could be heard. The wind began to howl, and then the name WIFA appeared on every weather screen.
Wu-tip gathered strength with eerie precision.
9 a.m. The Hong Kong Observatory issued a signal number, 12, the highest level of storm warning. It was no longer just a weather warning. It was a declaration. Hong Kong was about to face a brutal test. The road was no longer visible. Everything had become a murky, swirling sea. Cars were abandoned in the middle of the street, lying helplessly like lifeless bodies adrift. It was no longer just rainwater. It was a raging torrent, crashing through the streets as if nothing could stand in its way. Homes that had stood still for decades, now leaning bit by bit, as if the ground beneath them could no longer hold on. People just stood and watched. The home, once full of life, now floated away like it was never there. With a single yank, the roof vanished, and without a trace. The dam has opened. Water pours out like a broken waterfall. No warning. Water from the dam rushed down like a storm-born flood. The water. It hurled down as if to sweep away the entire downstream. All you could hear was the sound of rushing water, and a chill running down your spine. Standing up here, all you can hear is the water roaring right beneath your feet. Water slammed into concrete like thunder. Just the thought of the bridge shaking sends chills down your spine. From above, where is the road now? All that's left is a raging river. No more sidewalks, no more lanes, just water, water, and more water. The entire city is turned into a river. Cars drifting away like moving. The wind is too strong. The vehicle can't move forward. The driver can only stop and struggle to stay upright in the raging storm. Each gust of wind slams down the bikes, dragging their riders with them. Zero visibility. The windshield shakes violently, as if the wind is trying to crush the car from the outside. The last person struggles to escape the storm, not running, but dragging each step forward through a city just locked down by nature. From the hills, from overflowing drains, from tiny streams, all merge into one fierce flood, rushing toward the lowlands as if nothing could ever hold it back. The lowlands were submerged within hours. Rain kept falling, and the water kept rushing in, sweeping away every half-hearted preparation. When all the water converges on the lowlands, that's when entire lives are drowned. The water has risen beyond where we can breathe. And yet the storm shows no sign of stopping. It's not just rain falling. The wind still howls and waves rise in the middle of residential streets, as if this were the sea, not the city. sunken area now looks like a giant reservoir, with water pouring in, wind crashing down, and clouds blanketing the sky as if they never tire. The wind rushes through the trees, each trunk straining to stand firm, then bending as if about to snap. The branches no longer stand still. They clash and thrash about, as if being yanked violently from both sides. The storm isn't over yet. Everything is still caught in the eye of the chaos, and the city is silently bracing through it all. No one knows how long this night will last. All we know is that this is not the end. No one saw it coming. The village, with its bright red roofs and quiet streets, vanished into a bottomless flood in a matter of hours. The bridge gave way, homes vanished beneath the current. Cries pierced the air, then disappeared into the rising waters. A child, separated from their mother, floated helplessly in the black flood. The flood has no conscience. It shows no mercy. Yet it is not the only one responsible for this tragedy. Nature is beyond our control, but the devastation, that's another story. When dams upstream open their gates without notice, when local officials stay silent as danger rises, and when people are left to listen not to sirens, but to the roar of the flood itself. Hundreds of thousands wandered, unsure where to go, unsure where home even was. Classrooms became bedrooms, gas stations became shelters. What was once a city became something unrecognizable. Officials called it a 50-year flood, but the people, they laughed, with tears in their eyes. Every year, there's a rare flood. Every year they promise to be better prepared, but not once have we been rescued in time. are losses that money can never measure. Because how do you put a price on a wedding photo? Its ink now blurred by the flood. A diary, written through the teenage years, now shredded like scraps of paper. A graduation certificate, stuck to a moldy wall, never to be framed again. It wasn't flowing anymore. It was charging, like it wanted to sweep the whole world away. Mud, debris, trees spun in the churning brown water. Nothing could stop it. A raging, mad current. No one dared go near. One wrong step, and the current would take you, with no way back. It was just a car, but to someone, it might have been everything. Early morning drives, school runs, years of dreams saved up over 6 long years, and then, in just a few seconds, it was swept away like a cheap toy by the flood. This isn't outside. It's inside a central building, in a modern city. The marble floor is now a river, the escalator a waterfall, the reception desk a lonely island in the flood. The wind didn't just blow, it howled, screaming through the streets like a furious beast. The rain didn't just fall, it lashed the face like a whip, each drop heavy as falling stones. Below the bridge, a beast roars, twisting, crashing, trying to rip the structure apart. Wider roads, and developing Water poured into the river from all directions, like a broken dam. This wasn't drainage anymore. It was the fury of an entire city drowning. The once peaceful river had become a crocodile's jaw, swallowing everything in its path.